Danny, let's start with a bit of team news then. Kwasi Asante had a scan on his groin last week. What are the results of that?
Yeah, they found something. I'm not going to be too intricate and try to sound like a doctor of what it is, but luckily it's something quite minor. So I doubt he'll be in the squad tomorrow, if I'm going to be honest. But certainly we're looking for him to get back involved in training next week, which is good news.
That's a bit of a boost then, isn't it? Because you are a little bit light on numbers up front.
Yeah, and he's obviously, it's always been disappointing with the Kwasi situation, and he's as disappointed as anyone really. He wants to play, but he has these little niggling injuries, and but when he is fit, when he's on the pitch, he's always a goal threat. He's played well, whether he's been an out-and-out forward or a number 10 a bit deeper. So, yeah, from now to the end of the season, we can keep him as fit as possible. That gives us a big chance of getting that third place, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for him, wasn't it? Because he looked like he'd come back from his previous injury, a lot sort of sharper and ready to kick on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I think you saw since Kwasi's been at the club, his goal return's been excellent. It's just a shame, really, since the bad knee injury he had. Really, he's got a few niggly injuries, which sometimes happens after big operations, and the muscles are catching up with your body. It's a slow process at times. So, but yeah, you're right, Liam. When he is firing, when he's back in the squad, even if he comes off the bench, if it drops to him, he's going to score a goal. So. It's no point having those qualities if you're not on the pitch, so it's important we get him right, and hopefully we can keep him right now all the way through the running.
And Danny Rowe as well, how's he progressing?
Yeah, he's still with the medical department on an individual basis, just really getting up to match fitness. He's obviously set back with the illness he had at Fylde, and coming back and getting back into the swing of things, and obviously how the manager wants to play, wants everyone to be bang on their fitness that the other lads are. So yeah, Danny's in the building, working hard with the medical department. Hopefully he'll be around the group soon as well.
And if he is available at some point this season, where do you sort of see him fitting into the team? Because a lot of sort of fans are discussing, could he play that lone striker? Also could he play that number 10? He's got a great passing range on him. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think if you look at probably Macca and Quiggs, they're out and out number 9s. Target men and centre forwards with different qualities to each other, by the way. You look at someone like Kwasi who can do both, and I think Danny Rowe in his career has done both. So, yeah, whoever we play out there has got their own strengths. Certainly, Danny has had the experience of being that deeper forward, but at the minute we've got to get back on track with the players we've got at our disposal. And at the minute, that's obviously Quiggs and Paul McCallum, who are both those target men. Now, who plays behind them? If we play a 2 up front. That's for us to decide today going into Solihull.
Yeah, the managers tended just to go with just a 1 striker for the majority of this season. Could we see a 2 at some point, do you think?
Yeah, I think you can see lots of things, really. I think when you're trying to win football games, you try things that you think will suit the team. Now, this season we've probably flipped between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-3-3. That usually means there is a lone striker, but I think there's been times when we've been chasing games and the manager's brought on another striker to go 2 up front. I think now, obviously, with Cabs not in the building, you've got Quiggs and Paul McCallum, 2 6-foot+ centre forwards. It's a great option to have. I think, God forbid, we are chasing games, but if we are, which I'm sure we will, sadly, probably now at the end of the season, there'll be at least 1 or 2 games we're chasing. It's a good option to go to the 2 up front and go back to front and get round the second balls. Like I said the other night, I think you saw with Paul McCallum, when balls go in the box, he's a threat. And hopefully he can bring that tomorrow if selected. But yeah, no, I think you'd never rule anything out in football. I think we've had up until the last few games, sadly, we've had a really, really strong season. And hopefully the point at Aldershot will get us back to where we were before that first disappointing defeat at Barnet.
And just to go back to the injury situation, Bailey Clements, you mentioned in midweek that he's got a bit minor glute injury. If you want to pick him, can you pick him tomorrow?
Yeah, he's fit for selection. He'll definitely be travelling to Solihull.
And just one final one on the injuries. Manny Oyeleke, he had a bit of a setback, I think, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago? Is he still sort of working through that?
Yeah, it's been a series of setbacks. I think originally, way back, we were talking January training, and now it's not looking great again for a period of time. So I don't want to, speak too much about how long he's going to be out for, because I don't like tempted fate. Last time we did that, he had another setback. So Yeah, it won't be in the near future, sadly, Liam.
On a more positive note, Paul McCallum, first goal on his first start in midweek. How's he settling in?
Yeah, he's a great lad, Paul. I think that's the running theme of us. They're all great lads, and so we're all having great lads. But you want good players who can win football games at the same time. And my experience of Paul is certainly one of them. Worked with him at Leyton Orient, and then obviously coming up against him at Eastleigh, Solihull, Barnet's, Dagenham. He knows this league inside out, and with him and Joe Quigley, they've got two lads really battling it out for that number 9 shirt. You saw from his goal, he's not just a big lad who wins headers. You know, he's got good finesse and finishing qualities with his feet as well. So this is one game. Paul played really well, but for us to finish in that third position, we need Paul and all the other players to continually play well, because you know we've had a draw at Aldershot, which hopefully gets us back into winning ways come Saturday. But you know, going forward, we need to start winning some football games.
Does McCallum offer you something a little bit different in that it was quite noticeable in the second half, the amount of crosses that came into the box, which is not something we've seen, you know, being a big point of Chesterfield's play this season, but there was sort of a noticeable amount of crosses going into that box.
Yeah, I think earlier, I think it's something that's dried up probably the last few weeks in general, and it's something we've spoken about with the lads. I think early on in the season, especially Kingy, the amount of crosses he was getting in with his left and right foot was frightening, really. And we just dried up in that department, and I suppose you can say you've dried up in lots of departments. When you lose 4 in the trot, you know, you to say everything's absolutely going well is not right, because we were missing chances and we conceded some poor goals. And like I've said, that's 4 games, 4 big games, but you've got to put it to bed. You've got to look forward. You've got to look to improve on those results. You've got to look to improve on certain performances. Bournemouth away was a good performance in a lot of ways. Woking wasn't, and then Notts County here was a decent performance, but you lose the game. So, yeah, we know we want to win games. The manager always says that performance usually leads to games, and that's proven to be correct over the course of the season thus far. But yeah, like that bad week we had earlier in this season, we were all hoping that was going to be a one-off blip. Sadly, we've had another period of bad results. But I'm sure now, seeing the lads and the reaction to... They were disappointed the other night with the point Aldershot. They really wanted to win, stating the obvious, but you know, they were really not gutted, but a bit quiet after in the dressing room because they wanted to win. But you know, we tried to put a positive spin on it and try and say, look, you know, there's a lot of improvements. Let's take that into Solihull. More improvements needed, and I'm sure we'll get the 3 points.
Yeah, it's just been a little bit noticeable in the last sort of few weeks or so that attacks just seem to be breaking down a little bit on the edge of the box. Is that something that you sort of spoken about and you're looking to improve on?
Yeah, I think you speak about, you know, even when we were on those really good run earlier in the season, you know, the manager and us, manager's really big on looking back on games, win, lose or draw. He's very consistent like that, to be fair. Not just because we lost a few, let's all panic and watch the game back and try and find faults. Even when we were winning, we had that mindset. So that hasn't changed. Obviously, when you're winning, it's a nicer watch, and you pick out less faults, obviously, because you're winning the games. But you're not doing your job as staff or players if you're not looking back on the defeats, thinking what can you put right. After that first defeat, you're thinking let's put things right. But sadly, we've had a little bit of a bad run. After Aldershot the other night, we've just been down in the office now looking at more stuff we can improve on Solihull. And obviously the proof's in the pudding, and it's up to the lads now to go out and try and match the effort and work rate at Aldershot, but a little bit more quality in places, and stop giving away silly chances and start taking our chances. And that's football, isn't it? You know, both boxes is the old saying. And if we bring that to Solihull, who are a very strong team, I'm sure we'll be okay.
And just on conceding goals, particularly from counter-attacks, being a bit of a theme this season, does it become a point where you say enough is enough and we have to change, or do you stick to your principles and just say, no, we're an attack-minded team and this is how we're going to play?
We've literally had that conversation right downstairs, the manager saying similar things really about how, you know, you have to look at whether it's goals conceded or chance conceded or poor set pieces or chance missed on our behalf. You always have to look, okay, what can be done different? So, for example, the number 7 Amaluzo the other night, he got it 2 or 3 times on the half turn, and the manager's point, right, so that, you know, when you give away possession that easily higher up the pitch and the way we want to play, which when it flows is so expansive and attractive to watch, if you give it away sloppily and certain lads are out of position, and the other team decides to leave one up or leave two in a little cheating position, we call it, you're in trouble. But what you can't say is, oh, well, you know, they're leaving two up, you know, so they're cheating. They've obviously got a tactic to do that. So we have to be aware to that. So, yeah, you're right, Lynn. There's certainly a time where you go, okay, how are we going to deal with that threat, whether it's that threat or any other threat? So every base is trying to be covered. It's always easy after the event when you win to say we covered it, and when you lose you say what went wrong. So yeah, no, I think you're right, mate. I think we'll have to look at all things over the course of the season, which we have done. Like I say, goals conceded, poor performances. Like the manager's very big on the performance, like I said. And if you tick all the boxes of performance, you usually get the result. And over the last 4 or 5 games, you haven't ticked every box, and that's why we've only got 1 point. So tomorrow's a new day, a new game, and let's get that good run starting again.
Yeah, just one final one from me then on tomorrow's opponents, Solihull Moors. A team who obviously got to the playoff final last season. When they came to the technique, they looked like they'd perhaps tweaked their style of play a little bit. What's your assessment of them?
Yeah, good point. I think Neil Hardy's very good at that. I think you don't really know what you're going to get of his teams, to be fair. 3 at the back, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2 even the other night, the period. So yeah, you don't know what he gets, and I think he's switched on like that as a coach. Keeps you guessing, probably keeps his own players guessing as well, which isn't always a bad thing. So yeah, we're looking this morning at possible personnel and formations they may do. But once again, it's the old saying, it's what we do. And if we don't turn up, whether they play 3 at the back, 4 at the back or 10 at the back, we don't turn up, it'll be a disappointing afternoon. The times we've turned up this year, as yourself and the supporters will testify, we've done all right. We've done all right. We've played well and we've won. And when we haven't, you know, there's not many games. You know, the ones we've lost is, maybe 1 or 2. You go, okay, maybe deserved that because we gave away poor goals, etc. And for me, the results don't lie most of the time, and the table doesn't lie. And we went up to 4th last Tuesday night with the point, and you have to take the positives of that and go, we're closer to that 3rd place, but performances, you know, have to go up another notch. Mistakes have to be cut out, and we're not the only team saying that. But we're going to Solihull fully aware of their threats, whatever they do, knowing that we're going to have to be bang on it to get the win, which I'm sure we'll do.
Do you have to find a way to win when you're not at your best? Because it does feel like Chesterfield do have to play really well to win for the majority of this season, which I suppose you could say that's the same for a lot of teams, but a lot of teams have to grind it out as well, don't they?
I think the most recent example of that was probably the Altrincham at home, where it was a Woking-esque sort of vibe because they were sort of stopping our flow. We weren't playing well, let's get it right. But we kept the back door shut with a little bit of luck, you know, but we did keep the back door shut, and then we worked a really good set piece to win it right near the end. And that's what you need to do sometimes. It's very hard to win games like that every week because sooner or later it does catch up with you. But if the performance is going to lead the result, we need to play well. But you're right, if it is a scrappy 0-0, sometimes it's a scrappy 0-0, and you might get a goal right at the end, and everyone celebrates like it was a beautiful 1-0. So the results now are, like they are all season, are paramount to where we want to finish. But the philosophy of the manager hasn't changed, where it is about how we play, how we perform, obviously cutting out the stakes and taking our chances and improving our possession sort of standard in the opposition half to make sure when they have got that low block in and around their box, we don't just give it back to them and let them counter. We've got to be more patient at times. And on the other side of the coin, we've got to know when to penetrate, when to shoot. So they're all decisions that have been a little bit off it recently. And that's why the results have gone the way they've got. But if you ask me now, if we were to go get a scrappy 1-0 at Solihull, I'd snap your hand off because I want the 3 points. We'd all rather do it with a bit of style and grace, but yeah, the 3 points are what matters, and hopefully that comes back to Chesterfield tomorrow, 6 o'clock.
Cheers, Danny. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, Liam. Top man.